You know, they're selling y'all wolf tickets, people. You're eating them right up.
Hey, pussy, are you still there?
I back. Trust me, I back.
But I'm not impressed by your performance.
You'll do nothing. You'll do nothing. Shut your fucking mouth, you'll do nothing. You'll do fucking nothing. Not one of you'll do nothing.
I'll tell you what, bro. You know, I was out there, I was fighting all the hitters, bro. You ain't fought no hitters.
Come on, guys. It's normal.
I'm not saying I would fight you. I would kill you.
John, do you think I'm just gonna sit there and let you kill me, John? I mean, really?
No, don't be scared, homie.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the fuck he wants.
I'm gonna beat you into the living death. I mean, maybe that's your job, but where I come from, you know, people like that get slapped.
That's fucking illegal.
Nick Diaz, you just shook up the world. How's that feel?
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
Yeah, this is a simulated death match. And you haven't simulated anybody's death yet.
I said it last year. We're not here just to take part. We're here to take over.
What is the game plan going in against him?
The game plan is you go in there, hit him with some good shit, don't get hit, and come home with a pocket full of cash.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Everybody's on steroids. The whole UFC, everybody.
I'm gonna go home tonight. I'm gonna drink a Coors Light. That's a Coors Light because Bud Light won't pay me nothing.
Do you want to be a fighter? That is my question.
Yes. What is up? What is up? Mixed Combat Radio family. Another daily edition of the show live on YouTube, Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. And obviously on podcasts, you can find on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and more. Definitely going to be a jam-packed show because obviously Wednesday is our preview show, and we have so much to get to. I mean, this is probably one of the best fights, like pure fights you could make this year, is this weekend. And unfortunately, it's on Cloud TV pay-per-view for us in the U.S., but digressing, because obviously we do have a lot to get to. So I'm going to try to run through it as quick as possible. Because of that, I'm not going to run through all of the boxing fights this weekend. There are a ton of events out there. Maybe most of them are obviously under the radar, but there are some out there. The only two boxing fights we will break down on this show is obviously Oleksandr Usyk versus Murat Gassiev for the undisputed cruiserweight championship of the world for the WBSS World Boxing Super Series finale. Just one of the best fights to make. You know, already people in the chat are questioning, is the winner of this fight better than a Evander Holyfield? Let's just slow down there for a bit. I think there's still some room to go, to be honest. But digressing, of course. And then obviously the HBO main event, Jaime Munguia versus Liam Smith. Really a fantastic fight that's getting overshadowed, getting really no shine, and that's really on HBO's fault. HBO is now sort of a wasteland of boxing. This is one of, 2 events this year so far for HBO. Little to zero promotion for it. Not surprising that it's getting little to no respect, but that is definitely going to be a fight that we talk about and break down. But quickly, before we get to those individual fights and break them down in its entirety, I want to shout out to everyone in the chat. Fat Apples, Georgie Porgy, MB, Scholar of Boxing. Kyle, what up, Kyle, man? When you get in that microphone, Kyle, let me know. Fern Goalie. And yeah, that's it for right now. Can't wait to see who else joins the chat later. But let's also just quickly go through the rest of the fights that we're not going to break down on this show. On Friday, on ESPN, Lamont Roach Jr. versus Davis Julio Basa. On Showtime that same day, Jaron Ennis versus Armando Alvarez. And also on the card, Montana Love versus Kenneth Sims Jr. That's a fantastic fight. A fight that's not televised in the U.S., though, especially for this show that's MMA and boxing. John Pascal versus Steve Bossé. Steve Bossé was a UFC middleweight sort of contender in a sense. Had some really good wins, and then just when it decided to go into boxing, we're now on a 3-fight winning streak in the UFC, and now it's fighting John Pascal at a cruiserweight in Canada. So just one of those that it seemed notable to make. Alberto Machado versus Rafael Mensa is on that Jaime Munguia versus Liam Smith card. We won't break down that one in its entirety because Machado should be the clear favorite to win that. And also on the Usyk Gassiev card fight, so we won't break down, but quickly wanted to mention Cecilia Brækhus, Marius Briedis, Fedor Shudanov, Konstantin Ponomarev, and Denis Shafikov all on the card. And also the return of one of the greats in boxing right now. Saraket Sorungsvi is making his sort of return from his dual wins against Roman Gonzalez, fighting at a bantamweight limit against young Gale Bay for a non-title fight in Thailand. Again, non-televised fight for that one, but definitely one that if you're a hardcore boxing fan, you can probably find a stream for it, and you're probably interested in it in some capacity. That is all the boxing fights this weekend. But let's break down, obviously, the fight of the weekend, Usyk versus Gassiev, a fight that, man, I really am still sort of conflicted on my pick for it. I am picking Usyk by split decision, and I'll break down why. But there's definitely paths to victory for both these guys. You know, if you're Usyk, you really have to keep this an outside, long-range fight where you dart in and out and keep compact, quick combinations that are no more than 3 or 4 punches. Because the more you stay in the pocket, the more likely you're going to eat a counter. You're going to eat some hooks to the body from a Gassiev, and you can't stay in the pocket for too long. Also, you need to stay off the ropes. Because if what we've seen from Gassiev is that he will butcher people if they're stuck on the ropes for too long. He will break them down systematically in a way that I think even makes Triple G like squeamish. To be honest, let's be completely honest about how powerful and ferocious Gassiev is. So you do not want to be along the ropes if you're Usyk. Also, you want to stick to that game plan. You want to stick to that throughout, and that may be frustrating for a guy like Usyk who does sort of get drawn into brawls. Look at the Briedis fight, for example, for Usyk. He was routinely stuck in the pocket either by his own free will or Briedis was able to keep him there. You don't want to do that with Gassiev. You don't want to stay in the pocket or stay within that medium boxing range. You want to be in or out entirely. We're basically saying this is live on ITV box office pay-per-view in the UK for those that want to know. Thank you, Rubisky. I forgot to mention how you could watch it in the UK. Also, if you're Usyk, you want, and also for Gassiev, let's be honest, because I think this is whoever tires out first, whoever can sort of be, have sort of the longer lasting gas tank, I think will win this fight, to be honest. So you want to attack that body. When you're darting in and out, if you're Usyk, make half those punches to the body. And that's something that he doesn't do that often. When Usyk does have a flurry here, often throw a 3 or 4 piece all to the head, really ignoring the body work. And that needs to change for a guy like Gassiev because you're not going to hurt him up top. You're just not. You may slow him down when you weaken him to the body, and therefore when you're on the back foot, on the defensive, he's really chasing you, a little more labored about it. I definitely think that should be a primary target for Usyk. And also just be first. You want to keep that jab out consistently. Use a lot of feints so he can't time the jab on you, and just outwork him. Outpoint him. Make him fight your fight. That's definitely what Usyk needs to do. And if he gets sucked into any sort of brawl, if he gets stuck in the middle too much, if Gassiev is able to cut off the ring efficiently enough where his back keeps hitting that in the ropes, Usyk's gonna have a lot of trouble. If you're Gassiev, you just need to do what you keep doing, like be that aggressor. We know that Gassiev can fight on the back foot. We've seen that against Dorticos. But I don't think Usyk really has the power or should have the game plan of making Gassiev be on the back foot, because Gassiev can counter you pretty well as well. So it just to me, it's gonna be it comes down to who has the better cardio tank, who can outwork the other opponent, and obviously who goes to that body. That will be a crucial aspect to this, because both guys are tough. Both guys can take shots up top. It's gonna be who can hurt the guy down low, who can hurt the body. And also because Usyk is gonna be jabbing consistently, if you're Gassiev, you're gonna want to counter off that jab, slip to the left because he's a southpaw, and then throw that lead uppercut, because that's a favorite punch of Gassiev, and he usually throws it on the inside when he bobs and weaves around people, sort of like James Toney-like. He can do it as a counter, I think, off Usyk if he overextends himself with that jab. Just slip it, throw the uppercut under it. It should be there all night for him, I think, if he can time it. I think both these guys cancel out each other in a lot of interesting ways stylistically, where like Rob, shout out to Rob from TBV, good friend of mine, obviously still. He is a big Gassiev fan. He is. He thinks Usyk is a hype job. He thinks this is a clear Gassiev late TKO or decision. I don't think it's that clear cut for either guy. I think this is very much going to be a tight, close affair where we're going to be arguing about it Saturday night, into Sunday, into Monday, about who won that. We're going to have Georgie coming in here and yelling at me that I said it's a close fight that can go either way, because Georgie hates when I say that shit. I'm going to probably say it. It's that much of a good fight. And stylistically, I think it's going to be close enough to where it's going to be hard to tell who wins rounds. You're going to have Usyk on the back foot, probably throwing more shots, maybe landing more as well, but maybe Gassiev landing the harder shots, looking a little bit more of the aggressor, looking a little bit more of the guy that is setting the pace, so to speak, and having Usyk be the guy to react to that pace. But again, I think Usyk is just going to be able to throw enough shots, be able to stick to a game plan, outwork Gassiev for 7 rounds. Obviously, if knockdowns come into play, who knows with scoring. But this is a fantastic fight. Again, on Cloud TV, Saturday. I think they have a time. I think it was they announced the time. I don't want to say it officially. I believe it is like 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific is when the card starts on Cloud TV. Not the main event, though. We will be doing a live fight chat, though, for that. So for everyone out there listening, don't worry. Whatever time it is on Saturday, I will be here live on YouTube. You can listen to me instead of whatever announcers they have for this live and get my breakdown of it. And obviously reactions and everything like that. And definitely cannot wait for this fight. This is clearly the fight of the weekend, if not one of the fights of the year, to be honest. And it completely sucks that it has little to zero exposure, to be honest. I don't know how people are really going to take to this. Like, are people just going to wait to watch on YouTube? The casuals are, I think, definitely. You're not going to see, 300, 400,000 people all of a sudden sign up to Cloud TV. I don't think that's going to happen. But the 100,000, 50,000 of us that do it, maybe it's enough to give them some money, hopefully. Anyways, digressing. Also that night, HBO main event, Jaime Munguia defending his WBO junior middleweight title against Liam Smith. I think Liam Smith is going to hang in there for a bit. It's going to be a really fun back and forth fight, in my opinion. I have yet to decide whether I'm going to do a live fight chat for this or the UFC card, which I'm going to break down later. But definitely want to at least mention that I might be doing it, so stay tuned for that. Hopefully by the Usyk Gassiev live fight chat, I have an idea of like what the scheduling is. I'll be able to determine whether I can do them all or maybe just 2 of them. But digressing, Munguia should win, though. I mean, Munguia should knock him out eventually at some point, whether it's TKO knockout. Liam Smith does not have the defensive capabilities, the power, or the size to really compete with Munguia. Like, the boxing skill you need to have, or skill set, I should say, you need to have to beat Munguia. It's not a guy like Liam Smith. It really isn't. Maybe like a Laura. Like, I can see Ezelani Laura just be on the back foot, outboxing Jaime Munguia for 12 rounds, right? You can see that. But do you really see Liam Smith out-brawling Munguia? I don't. Do we see him outboxing him? I don't. I really don't. I don't see a path to victory for Liam Smith, to be honest. A guy that has been finished before. And Munguia definitely has power. He may not be the most skilled guy. He may not be a guy like Miguel Bichot who brings both equal power and skill to his game. Munguia is a little more unrefined, even robotic at times. But he 100% has lethal power. He should, I think, finish Liam Smith relatively quickly. Probably within 6 or 7 rounds. I just don't see Liam Smith surviving that onslaught. And I don't see him really being able to switch gears, switch game plans on the fly, and go to the back foot. And I really don't see him doing that to begin with. That's not his style. That's not the way he likes to fight. He is a very stereotypically so a European style fighter with the high guard, likes to work the body, squares up a lot. That is the worst style to have with a guy like Munguia. Louis saying, Matt, you thought the same as me, Smith lost the second Williams fight. I thought he lost the first one, from what I remember. And again, that was a while ago now, I feel like, in terms of boxing years. But yeah, I didn't think Liam Smith won one of those matchups. I forget which one it was, but I'm not that high on Liam Smith right now. I think he's a guy that at a time could have done something, but his style does not lead to prolonged runs at the top. It's too basic. It's too predicated on him being the bigger guy, the more active guy, and the more powerful guy. And all three of those things are gone in this matchup. So Joe Block saying Smith cried the night Ali lost. That's so true, man. Yo, you must have think if you're Liam Smith, who, let's be honest, I thought in a Saddam Ali fight could have won. To be honest, I thought style-wise he could pressure Ali, outwork Ali. I thought that was a potential factor there. Even though I thought Ali could have also outboxed him, it was a much more even matchup than Munguia. And now he's fighting this undefeated, all of a sudden, meteoric rising Mexican knockout artist that's a giant junior middleweight that probably will top off at 168. Yeah, with all the pushing and backing of Golden Boy right now, fuck, man. Liam Smith has a lot going against him right now. But yeah, great matchup, I think, as long as it lasts, let's be honest. Even though Liam Smith, I think we can all agree, people that are logical, people that are not UK fanboys, that Liam Smith does not have a high possibility of winning this. But this should be a fun fight as long as it lasts. I think these two guys are going to be right there to get hit. I think they're going to be in the middle trading shots. And we're going to see one of them drop and crumble to it. And it's most likely going to be Liam Smith. But moving on to the next portion of the show, the news portion. Because that's the rest of the boxing that we're going to break down and dissect. So, hold on. Let me get this up right here. Sorry about that. Boom. Demetrius Andrade not expected to face Billy Joe Saunders next per Keith Idek of Boxing Scene. This is weird because no quotes from Andrade says we're not fighting Billy Joe Saunders next. We have Keith Idek saying like Boxing Scene has been told, has learned though, that Andrade's Matchroom DAZN debut won't be made against WBO middleweight champion Billy Joe Saunders. But also, we do have this aspect where it's a purse bid next week on Wednesday for this fight. Are they just not gonna? Are they just gonna pull out the purse bid to not take the fight? Like, that's a weird aspect to me. Like, you have Billy Joe Saunders on the line right now. Why not go for that? And if you're DAZN and you're Eddie Hearn, Matchroom USA, don't you want to put on that sort of fight? I understand that they're thinking, let's stack the first October 6th card right, make Jesse Vargas the main event because he's fought guys like Pacquiao, I guess, and lost. Fought guys like Broner and lost, or draw, I should say. So theoretically, he's the biggest star, even though that makes zero sense. Why not make it a dual site simulcast event? You go throw. And you could probably set this up time-wise. You could. Or have one early in the day. I don't know how you would do it, but there's a way to do it where you get Andrade, Billy Joe Saunders on that card as well. It may not be in the U.S., but it could still be simul-streamed with that event. That happens all the time, I would say, for boxing. Like HBO has done that a few times. Showtime has done that a few times. Where you have two different events in two different locations, but you're broadcasting them on a singular telecast. I think you can do that here with streaming. And it should be even easier to do with streaming. From what they've said. It makes a little sense to me. I definitely want to know what you guys think in the chat. Are we going to see this fight next? Or is Andrade going to sort of get like a showcase fight for his DAZN opener? Is that what they're thinking of doing? Is that what they want to do? Or is this just like media talk in a sense? Not really saying that Keith Hedek is wrong in his reporting, but it's one of those where promoters and managers and people behind the scenes just say stuff sometimes. And it may not be necessarily true or may not be 100%. Or maybe just we probably aren't doing this. We haven't really thought about it yet. And you have a reporter running with it. Not saying that he's wrong with his reporting, but it may not be the 100% confirmed issue. And Fat Apple saying it's no way Billy Joe Saunders vacates. Yeah, like it's either Andrade does just what's the term I should use? Like forgoes his mandatory status, similar to like Kubrat Pulev and Jerome Miller, how you can just leave a purse-based situation, you don't have to take it. They go to the next guy on the ranking system or the ranking list, and whoever that is after Andrade, they go to him and ask him, does he want the mandatory spot? I think that's what could potentially happen here. But just a weird sort of situation here where I was not expecting this at all. Kind of odd that they did it that way, just to be honest. But moving on to sort of a transition topic. So as I begin this next topic, we will be discussing a little bit of boxing and then move on to MMA, of course. I deeply, deeply apologize. And then we will move on to the UFC event and break that down and whatever UFC and MMA news there is. But the ratings came out for UFC Boise, Bellator 203, and also the boxing event of Regis Prograis versus Juan Velasquez. So I just want to report that number first before we go to the UFC number. It was 518,000 viewers on ESPN. Let me just highlight it for you guys so you can see it on YouTube right there, per MMAfighting.com and Dave Meltzer. Dave Meltzer being one of the preeminent reporters when it comes to TV ratings and pay-per-view buys, etc., across all of combat sports. But UFC doing five, and this was the Junior Santos Blago Ivanov card, 572,000 viewers for its prelims, while it went head-to-head with Bellator's main card, and that did under 400,000 viewers. And I think the main card for Junior Santos did 750,000 viewers about average. So yes, just want to report that very quickly, as so everyone has the numbers down and knows what the figures are. But yeah, I mean, not great numbers, let's be completely honest. And before we move on to the actual UFC event ahead of us, a little bit of reviewing time, as we did have the Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series. Macy Barber, Edmund Shabazin, and Domingo Peralta. No, what's his name? Peralta. All three got UFC contracts in the event, and also Paige Van Zant's fiance, whatever his name is, Mr. Austin Vanderberg or some shit like that. It's very preppy, very Ivy League name. He picked up a win as well. Good fights. If you have the UFC Fight Pass subscription, it was a fun little event to watch. They tend to be those Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series, though the name is horrendous. Like, they need to get rid of that fucking name. I'm sorry. That's bad. Digressing to what Scholar Boxing is saying in the chat about the Prograis Velasquez numbers, saying that's good for Prograis. It's mediocre numbers. Like, there's not good or bad. It's just mediocre. Like, ESPN is not looking at that number going, oh, man, well, they have something here. No, they're not thinking that at all. You got to think about that the ESPN base, the basement number they're looking for is much higher than, let's say, the Showtime execs. Because ESPN is in, 4 or 5 times the amount of households in the U.S. and worldwide, probably more. I definitely think it's not great or good. I don't think so. Especially as a lead-in, as a prelim event, if you think about it, to Manny Pacquiao. God knows what the subscription rate was like for ESPN Plus. But just, again, I don't think those were fantastic numbers from either party involved. But moving on to the card this weekend, obviously, UFC Fight Night 134. 134 Hamburg. Mauricio Shogun Rua versus Anthony Smith as the main event. I'll be honest, I'm not that hyped on this card. There's some fights here that I really like the Murat Gassiev versus Nazaret Hapsarat fight. I love that matchup, to be honest. Marcin Tybura versus Stefan Struve. I love that matchup. But nothing really going wow, I can't wait to watch all this. And I'll be honest, Shogun versus Anthony Smith, don't really care about that much. I think Anthony Smith should win at this point. He's been good as of late, even though he's kind of a gatekeeper / journeyman. But Shogun is Shogun of 2018. He's a much faded version of himself. And he was a faded version of himself when he fought like Dan Henderson for the second and third time. And that was half a decade ago. You know, even though Anthony Smith has been fighting for a decade himself, and he's lost to like ton of guys. Like who's he lost to? God, it's gonna really bug me. Let me pull up his resume right now. I should have it up. That's really going to bug me. Josh Neer. Damn, that's right. Josh Neer. Way back in the day. In 2013, he lost to Josh Neer. Like, come on. He's been in Strikeforce, UFC, Bellator, and gone back and forth. Fought a Victory Fighting Championship. You know, the guy has been all over the place. But Shogun Rua is Shogun Rua of this age. In this day, I think Anthony Smith should win 4th round TKO, to be honest. If not, it's because Shogun is still vastly better than a journeyman like Anthony Smith. And I'm grossly overrating what Smith is at this point or in what shot version we have in Shogun Rua. Co-main event, Glover Teixeira versus Corey Anderson. God, poor Corey Anderson, guys. Like, this is going to be bad. This is going to be really bad. This would be a great knockout, though. Let's be completely honest about that. Teixeira should knock him out 2nd round. I think Corey Anderson, unathletic, 0 cardio, piss poor technique. I don't know how he sort of stayed in the position he has, to be honest, by winning very close, lackluster fights. Teixeira is just skill-wise far and far away better than Corey Anderson. And plus he has actual legit power in his hand, and Corey Anderson's hiding glass in that chin. I think Teixeira should win within 2 rounds. Tybura versus Stefan Struve. I am skipping some fights just for those that don't know because I'm not breaking down like Nick Hine versus Damir Hadjovic or Emil Meek versus Bartosz Wawrinski. I don't know who Bartosz is. I'm sorry. But I'll watch all of it, but I don't know these names. Marcin Tybura versus Stefan Struve. Love this fight. I still think Stefan Struve is better than Tybura, though I can 100% see Tybura just knocking out Stefan Struve. That is always a possibility. I think Struve, technique-wise, is better. I think he has better cardio as well. He's a better athlete. I 100% see Stefan Struve winning, probably by submission, 2nd or 3rd round. But if Tybura came out here and knocked out Stefan Struve, because Stefan Struve is Stefan Struve, yep, you know how it is. You know, when you have a chin like him and you don't fight with that height and reach that you've been gifted, shit happens, man. Shit happens. But yeah, that's all the fights I want to sort of break down. Though I will say Murat Gassiev against Nazaret, great fight at lightweight. Gassiev sort of been an up and down guy who had a lot of hype behind him. He's been training in Florida with Solomon Barrera's boxing trainer. And I think Luis Ortiz comes in there sometimes as well. So yeah, just so you guys know, Gassiev gets some real good boxing training down in Florida. Cal saying can't trust Struve. It's like picking Amir Khan or anyone with a bad chin. It's like picking Chuck Liddell to beat Tito Ortiz right now. It's like, I'm not going to do that. Got knocked out with the broken arm. Struve has a win against Stipe Miocic. Yes, for all you Stipe Miocic fanboys. But that is it for all the breakdowns and previews of the weekend coming up. Let's get to some more news in MMA before we head out of here. Nico Montana to defend her flyweight title versus Valentina Shevchenko at UFC 228. And it gets better, yes. There's 8 bouts confirmed for that event, including Carolina Kowalkiewicz versus Jessica Andrade. God, what a great couple women's fights right there. The Andrade Kowalkiewicz fight is fantastic. And also they have John Dodson versus Jimmy Rivera on the card. Carla Esparza is also on the card. I forget who she's fighting. Let me pull it up. Tatiana Suarez, great fight. Aljamain Sterling versus Cody Stamann. Fantastic, underrated fight right there. Yair Rodriguez versus Zabit Magomed Shaparov. Gosh. I want all that smoke. That fight's going to deliver right there. Who else is on the card? There's some other fights. Renee Bonet is on the card. Darren Stewart's on the card. But anyways, fun fights being announced for that card. Whoa, Jay Prodigy making some really hot takes right here, man. Whoa. Okay, let me read off what Jay Prodigy is saying here in the chat for all you podcast listeners. And again, there are a lot of you out there listening on podcasts. Leave a review on iTunes, all of you. Come on. Go right now. Stop what you're doing. Go leave a 5-star review, and you have to write a review. Write a review. It's the best way to get noticed. Let's be honest, because I read them all. We only have 2 up there. I'm not going to only read 2. I want to wait till there's like 10, and then read all 10 on air. That's what I'm going to do. But anyway, Jay Prodigy is saying Valentina via murder. Okay, I kind of agree with that. I'll be honest. Andrade via murder. Now that's no. What are you doing here? What are you doing here? Come on. We've seen Andrade get outstruck. We've seen that. We've seen Joanna Jędrzejczyk outstrike her. Almost easily, I would say. That might be a little bit too harsh. But Kowalkiewicz should be able to keep this a long-distance fight, or at least it's a path of victory for her that's possible. Should be able to keep this a long-distance fight and just kickbox with Andrade and be able to beat her. Yeah, Andrade may have really good power and actually some pretty good wrestling and grappling as well. But definitely, I think that's a close fight. That's not a mismatch at all. Now, I can understand you thinking that Montano and Shevchenko is a mismatch. I kind of agree with you on that because Montano has not shown us anything, and that shows that she can beat the level of opponent that Shevchenko is. But Kowalkiewicz versus Andrade, a 50-50 fight, in my opinion, a fantastic matchup. And you saying that I'm just talking about the women's fights, not the guys' fights. Jay Prodigy is saying, LOL, stop this, Matt. Since when is Carolina a Joanna? She's not, but do you forget that fight? Do you forget that that Carolina has a win over the current champion in that division? Are we forgetting some of these things? Jay, come on. Come on, Jay. Gunshots for you. What are you thinking? What are you thinking? Claudia also tried to keep it at distance and how that go. But Claudia's 5 feet. 4'9". What are you talking about? Carolina's a tall, rangy fighter. Claudia is short and stocky, just like Andrade. That's why you're not able to keep her at a distance. Carolina has the physical tools and the technique to keep Andrade off her. Come on. Come on. But anyways, I think that's a close matchup. To say that's a huge mismatch is crazy, Jay. But I teach his own. But that John Dodson, Jimmy Rivera, and Yair Rodriguez versus the Magomed Shaparov fight, those 2 fights are fantastic. Like, UFC, take my money. You can put those 4 fights basically on a pay-per-view, and I will pay for it. Now, I know most people might not pay for it, but I would. There have been reports, though, that is not going to be the main event. They will put another fight on it. So I don't know who will be the main event for this event coming up, but interesting to see who it will be. Because let's be honest, the pay-per-view buy rate for a Montano versus Shevchenko fight, ooh, that wouldn't be good. That would not be good at all. So they definitely need to put another sort of event on it or I should say title fight on it to really beef it up. Some other news: Anderson Silva receives a 1-year backtrack suspension from USADA for a contaminated supplement, eligible to return in November. So yes, Anderson Silva has been vindicated in this second situation, even though I think it's so weird that they give suspensions out for a proven contaminated supplement. Rob saying, damn, missed the box in half. I'm sorry, Rob. I'm sorry. Come on. That's on you. Jay Parker saying MMA math don't work. Claudia lost to Jessica but beat Carolina, and Carolina beat Rose but lost to Joanna. Joanna beat blah, 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 blah. Again, I'm not talking MMA math there. I'm talking about style-wise, technique-wise. Carolina can easily keep this an outside fight. Why? Because you brought up fights that you talked about. Those are not comparable fights stylistically and technique-wise. Claudia Gadelha is not the level of a striker, or she does not have the size and reach of a Carolina. Clearly. So to compare how those two fights, how that fight went and how this fight will go down, is just a poor comparison, Jay. Let's be honest. UFC Hamburg is whatever. Talk about UFC Calgary. That card is stacked. Because he had like 10 A's in there. Stacked. But yeah, Anderson Silva, backtracking to that news. Boom. That news. Anderson Silva, I mean, it is what it is. He's still the GOAT. Or at least one of the GOATs, let's be honest. I know people still really care about the whole PD thing. And again, like the blue vial or the clear vial from Thailand for erectile dysfunction, all that good stuff. It's just a weird turn this is all taken. It's an unfortunate turn, to be honest. But at least we're going to see Anderson Silva back within the next 3 or 4 months. And again, he has not shown that he's completely out of the picture, I would say. He's still obviously not the elite guy that he was. He's still a faded version of that. But he can still beat some top guys. Why not make I know this might sound crazy, but why not make Anderson Silva versus Israel Adesanya? Or hell, if you want to go crazy, and this might be really mean to Anderson Silva, but Anderson Silva versus Paulo Costa Boachina in Brazil as a main event. That would be a fantastic fight. You almost need to make Anderson that guy you put these next future stars over with. You need to. With Weidman sort of falling, what he was able to sort of gain from beating Anderson twice is gone because he's really out of the picture in terms of being a relevant, long-reigning champion. That doesn't seem possible now. Guys like Rockhold never beat Anderson or fought Anderson and aren't champions. Whitaker, Romero, they've never fought Anderson. So there's not this true pass-off, I feel like, with this entire division. Plus, when you have the George St. Pierre beating Michael Bisping, then making the title, the lineal champion is George St. Pierre off somewhere. If you are the UFC and you're looking at Israel Adesanya and Paulo Boachina Costa and saying, these are the next 2 guys in this division. One of them is going to be the next guy. Put Anderson up against both of them back to back. Fuck it. Why not? Like, this is what you need to do as a promoter to sort of generate new stars, unfortunately. You have to send out the old, stars that, the old lions out there to die, basically, with the young lions. That's what you need to do. I don't think it may be Now, if Anderson objects to that, I completely understand that. Jay Parjay saying, you wouldn't hate... Yeah, I wouldn't hate... interesting way of phrasing that. You wouldn't hate the Israel fight, but do it as Anderson's farewell fight and put it in Brazil. So if Israel wins, it's like a passing of the torch type of fight. Now, do you make it Israel Adesanya because of the style matchups and how like Israel's striking skills reflect a little bit what Anderson was able to do in his prime? Or do you put a Bohachina in there who is Brazilian, who sort of could be that next Brazilian star? He could be the next Vitor Belfort, hopefully without PD's shit, which we're going to get to later. Got Paulo Costa sending out free smoke to anyone.
I want smoke.
We know Costa. We know Bohachina. But I think that's a matchup they definitely look at. I'm not saying it's the right one. I think Israel makes a little more sense probably because Israel seems to be the next sort of John Jones, Anderson Silva, or at least seems to have that hype or that push around him. But Brazil versus Brazil matchup, main event in Brazil. The former Brazilian star, the transcendental GOAT that is Anderson Silva against the next potential guy, and Bohachina, who's undefeated, all wins by knockouts. You highly look at that. That's not an option you just really don't address in the discussion rooms and the boardrooms at the UFC right now with the matchmakers. You definitely look at that and weigh out the pros and cons. But speaking of Bohachina, because good old surfing legend Kelly Slater had some shots to send at Paulo Costa, and Paulo Costa had some shots to send back. I gotta read this just for the laugh, because Kelly Slater commented on a UFC IG post saying, "Didn't Kung Lee get caught because he looked suspect in a photo after a fight?" First off, completely wrong. Come on. He got caught because he took a test, you dumbass. And then he said, Costa makes Yoel's physique looks almost unattainable. If this guy ain't juiced, they shouldn't bother testing at all. And then Bohachina saw that and was like, oh.
Any of you radio personalities think you want smoke?
Oh.
Call me Mr. Chimney. I want smoke.
It's like Kelly Slater talks too much. Said stupid things. He doesn't understand how the anti-doping system works in the UFC. He doesn't know how USADA works. Doesn't understand the USADA policy of testing any fighters at any moment, anywhere in the world. Blood or urine. We do random tests all the time. And then he goes on to say, it does bother me because people talk without knowing. They judge me because I have a good physique and excellent conditioning. Sending shots to all of you. I think I got this by cheating instead of hard work, diet, effort, and sacrifice. Hashtag hard work dedication. He didn't say that. I just want to add to that. I keep working really hard, so it bothers me because they diminish my work and effort. But I know where my results come from, so my conscience is clear. I love that shit. That cracked me up. I saw that, read that article, and I was like, this is completely non-sequential to anything that's happening in the world and in the industry, but fucking hilarious. So shout out to Bohachina sending that shots out to, surfing legend Kelly Slater. Oh, I loved it, man. That was great. Some other news before we head out here. UFC set for Argentina debut in Buenos Aires in November 17th, I should say. I love that. I love they're expanding in the South American market. I believe they have eyes on like a Colombian fight, a fight in Chile. Obviously, they have a fight in Chile, or they did have a fight in Chile. Tons of stuff that can really happen in that market if you know how to do it. Paul Daly also sort of making news right before he went on air. Per Brett Okamoto saying Paul Daly has signed a new deal with Bellator MMA. Scott Coker confirms via text. We got the deal done. We get the big fights done. Just judging by the text, I think we'll finally get Daly versus MVP. Yes. Get hyped. Get hyped. Hold on. I need some more. Yes. Fireworks. It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. It's happening. Paul Daly. Michael Venom Page. Yes. Yes. We did it, guys. No, I don't know if we did it, but hey, that's a great fight. It's awesome that Paul Daly is now in not officially in the welterweight tournament on DAZN and Bellator, though it's pretty much unofficially official. And it's kind of been shattered and rumored that they're going to just throw this fight as the first one in London. If that does happen, God, it's awesome to be a combat sports fan sometimes. Let's be honest about that. And some quick news before we head out of here. Last bit of Bellator news. AJ McKee versus Pat Curran booked for Bellator 205 main event. Not, I'm going to lower down the sounds a little bit for the air horns because it's not as big. But still, I mean, that's good news. I mean, AJ McKee is a guy that they've been grooming for a long time. Pat Curran being a guy that was sort of like one of the Bellator guys for a long period of their tenure. Like, especially the Bjorn Rebney days. Pat Curran, Michael Chandler, like those guys held it down. They held down it during the transition. Pat Curran being one of, I think, the longest reigning, or I should say, featherweight champions under Bellator's sort of umbrella. I think AJ McKee versus Pat Curran is a fantastic matchup. McKee should win this. I think he's just in a better spot in his career. Looks to have all the skills, wrestling, striking, grappling. A guy that has a lot of potential. Could be a breakout performance for him. But that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Another daily edition of the show. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, share the show, tell a friend and tell a friend. Because Hands of Stone made a great point. Good to see your subscriptions. He said subs, but I wanted to add the full word, and I fucked up. Oh well. Gunshots at me. Yeah, I know. Almost doubled very quickly. I know. That is awesome. That is awesome. Shout out to all of you guys out there, all of you fine women and gentlemen, because without you, this show wouldn't be possible. Without all of you on Patreon, it wouldn't be possible. Shout out to everyone on Patreon. Patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio. Go support the channel. But you can do it for as easy as a like, as free as an iTunes review, and as painless as a share. All those things help with the channel, help it grow. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Kyle, J Prodigy, Hands of Stone, who else? Fat Apples, I Love Muff Dive. Oh, wow. What up, man? Gotta see you here. Joe Blogs, Curtis Cooper, Scholar of Boxing, MB, Louie, Georgie Porgy, Robitsky, everyone that's been listening, everyone that will listen. Shout out to everyone here. Igloo saying need to get to 1,000 ASAP. We do. We are almost halfway. But yeah, just thank you for everyone that listens, that supports, that shares. Without you, we wouldn't be here. And shout out to Kyle in the chat. He'll be on the show soon as a co-host. Can't wait to have his debut. But be back obviously tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, every day, Monday through Friday. Live fight chats and media reactions on Saturday. Stay tuned for that, obviously, when those shows are for the Usyk Gassiev and UFC Fight Night Hamburg event. I'm out of here. Have a good day. Peace.